I just moved down to Florida for work, and I'm in kind of a tough situation. So a lot of you have maybe seen on the news that there's been a huge housing shortage lately, and I thought it was just here in Florida and I was told, well, you have all these people moving to Florida from New York and New Jersey, especially, to get away from all of the COVID lockdowns and all of that nonsense, and just they're tired of the Democrat politics, so they're moving down here to Florida, and therefore we've had issues with supply and demand, and basically just having a housing shortage. There's so many people out down here who want to get an apartment and want to buy a house and want to move down here, and there's just not enough housing to go around, and you can only build so many in Florida. You can only build so many houses all at once because they have to be able to withstand a hurricane up to a point. So I'm told in Texas, you basically put up some plywood and you've got an apartment building. You can't do that here in Florida. So the job it's pretty good money. I mean, it's not I'm going to live in a palace money, but it's hey, I can afford to, in theory, to have my own place, and maybe go out to get a nice meal on Fridays. Something like that. Go to a nice maybe a nice bar and grill for a good meal. Not talking about caviar or anything like that. So yeah, so far so good. Or sounds so far so good. But when I was trying to budget to move down here, I was looking at all of these apartments, and they'd be listed as $1,200, $1,300 a month, and I was like, that is way more than what I'm used to paying. Back home in my hometown, $800 a month. That's you're doing pretty good for an apartment. $900 and up, you're looking at very high-end apartments. And if you were even talking $1,000, those would be probably luxury apartments right there. Here, I talked to a guy who had I don't know how to call it, maybe an efficiency on the side of his house, very, very small. You can't flush toilet paper down the toilet. You have to put it in a trash can. That $1,000, that is the best thing I was able to find around here. And so I talked to that guy, and I talked to a place that has I talked to an apartment where it would be just over $1,600 a month, including most of the utilities. So I'm talking under $1,700 a month, all of the utilities. And for those of you in certain parts of the country, San Francisco, New York City, you're probably laughing like that's a steal. But keep in mind, I'm making Florida dollars, not New York City dollars, not San Francisco dollars. So, a dollar, the cost of living in different places is definitely different amounts. Something that costs $1 in one place might cost $2 in a different city, and it might cost 50 cents in a different city. So, 30,000, say you're making 30,000, that might be a lot of money in some places. In other places, you are homeless. So, I need prayer in this situation. So to add on to it, I'm told that there is a company, and I won't say the name of the company right now because YouTube might get mad and say I'm spreading misinformation. But rumor has it there's a particular company that is going around buying up all of the housing, and basically making it where housing is super expensive. And I'm all for free markets. I'm all for free market capitalism. But from what I understand, they're backed by the federal government. So, the federal government is going to insure them so that they don't fail. And that's not capitalism. Capitalism is you can go open a lemonade stand in your own front yard. and nobody can tell you you can't, and you can sell that lemonade for any price you want. But all of the risk and all of the reward is yours. You go ahead and open that lemonade stand. You can sell that lemonade for 50 cents. You can sell that lemonade for $5. You can sell that lemonade for $15 if you think you can. And nobody else people can say, no, I don't want to buy your lemonade. For any reason. They can say, I don't want to buy your lemonade because I don't like your face. That is capitalism. That is free market capitalism right there. That is how that's going with the definition of what capital is, which is the government and economics are separated. Business is one thing, government is another, and you basically have a separation between government and economics. And, sometimes people like to misuse the phrase separation of church and state, which does not mean what most people think it means, but basically the church and the government are meant to be separate institutions. In the same way, business and government are meant to be separate institutions. And that doesn't mean the government can't recognize that, hey, we are created in the image of God. And I think the government would be well to do stuff like that, to say, hey, we have religious freedom, but we recognize the God who created us. You are allowed to be an atheist in this country. You're allowed to do whatever you want, but as a government, we do recognize the Creator, and we thank Him for His provision. I think the government would be well to do that, but that is a whole different topic. So, returning back to the topic at hand, you having this giant, if it's true, if the rumors are true, and like I said, YouTube, I'm saying these are rumors. This is what I've heard. I'm not saying this is fact. So just take it with a grain of salt, and don't accuse me of doing something nefarious. Because YouTube claims to be a platform. It doesn't platform, even though it acts like a publisher. So anyway, I call up these apartments, and it'll be listed as $1,200. I call them up and like, oh no, it's $1,700, and it's not available for a month. Doing good if it's a month. It's not available for a month and a half, 2 months, 3 months. And so you have a lot of false advertising going on. And again, you can sell your lemonade for however much you say you want to sell it for. But if your sign says $1, and I come up and say, give me a lemonade, and you say $5, like, no, that's not how it works. That's dishonesty. That's false advertising. That's bad marketing, and that shows a certain sort of dishonesty that I don't want to be a part of. There was this one apartment complex. I went over there, and they wanted $500 just for the application. And I was like, if you want $500 for the application, I want some kind of assurance that I'm going to get this. I want some kind of assurance that if my application, I want to know what the standards are for the application, and I want assurance that if I meet those standards, I'll actually be able to get an apartment. And it won't be, hey, here's these other 5 jerks who are also bidding on this apartment, and we're just going to go with whoever gives the highest price after we've taken your money. So no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to play that game. Now, the place I did end up going with, they wanted $400 for their application. And yeah, somebody said in the comments section, Bolt Tansy. I hope I read that right. It might have been Bolt Tansy. It's kind of hard to see because the camera's small. Yeah, it's widespread. It's most of the apartment complexes I've looked at are playing the same game. Or apartments.com says one thing, and they're like, well, those aren't accurate, those are out of date. Okay, then you need to update your listing. So anyway, I'm not happy about the situation. I'm not happy about what's going on. And Bold Tansy says, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're good. Okay. So yeah, I am not happy about the situation. It's not right. But basically, here I am practically on the scene, quite literally reporting what's happening to myself, seeing it right there firsthand. And it's definitely been interesting. I've definitely, why am I still wearing this seatbelt? I've definitely been seeing a lot of interesting things this past year, being right outside of New York City during the, during COVID. And then coming down here to Florida and talking about how you know, a lot of the mask mandates and things like that, lockdowns, you know, they're not a thing here in Florida. So everybody's wanting to move down here to Florida, and it's just, it's definitely been an interesting year. So pray for me, pray for all this. If you are a minority, you could sue them, as what they are doing could be racist, and maybe, who knows. You know, and I am somebody who, in certain contexts, I'd be considered a minority for, you know, for being autistic. But, sorry, I saw the sign in the rear view mirror in the camera there and thought it was a face for a second. I was like, you know, what's up with that? You know, because sometimes our brain is, you know, our brain is wired to recognize faces, and that's why you see the quote-unquote face on Mars and, you know, different things like that. You'll think you see a face in the clouds, and it's just a cloud. But anyway, yeah, so those orange marks on that van behind me, it looked like a face for a second. So yeah, anyway, just pray for the situation. I'm still working on the documentary project. I've got a guy I've hired. I gave him a certain amount of money just to see what he can do. You know, he's a younger guy. I'm told he's good. I'm told he's good, but he comes with good recommendations. So I've hired him, paid him a certain amount of money, and this was before I moved down to Florida, and I'm just going to see what he can do. I'm going to see what he can do with the amount of hours, you know, that I paid for, because I paid him up front, and we'll see what he can do. If he does well, then I'll keep going with him. If not, then I'll hire someone else. So keep praying for that documentary project. And anyway, thanks for watching this video, and live long and prosper. Probably the best thing I can say to an audience. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and until next time, this is Greg, out. And how do I stop this video? Sure you want to stop streaming? Okay.